One day, when I was talking to my lovely mother pictured here, she mentioned something about how her two sons, my brothers, wouldn't keep their rooms clean and wouldn't ever make their beds. And so I thought, I learned something about that in psychology. I wonder if we could do an experiment and test it out. So, this video is going to cover that experiment that I ran, attempting 4 different methods of operant conditioning on my brothers to see if we could get them to make their beds and not leave their clothes on the floor. But first, let's explain exactly what operant conditioning is. So in this experiment, we have 2 behaviors, one that we want to increase and one that we want to decrease or discourage. And so on days 1 and 2, we are going to be adding things, both reinforcing tactics and punishment tactics, to try to both increase the making the bed habit and decrease the leaving the clothes on the floor habit. So for positive reinforcement, we want to give or apply something to increase behavior occurrence. So we are going to add a happy little ice cream treat to encourage the subjects to make their bed and encourage that behavior. But for positive punishment, that is giving or applying something to decrease a behavior. So we are going to add an extra chore, doing dishes after dinner, to encourage them to not leave their clothes on the floor, or rather discourage that behavior. Next, on day 3 and 4, we are going to be subtracting things. So, for negative reinforcement, we are going to take something away to increase the behavior occurrence. So, if they make their bed, they don't have to do trash duty. They don't have to take out the trash. So the point would be to take away one of their normal chores if they continue to promote that behavior of making their bed. And for negative punishment, we're going to take something away to decrease the behavior. So we want to decrease leaving clothes on the floor. So we are going to take something away, in this case TV and Netflix, to try to decrease that behavior. The 2 subjects we will be using for this experiment are my 2 younger and slightly mischievous brothers, John on the left, who is 16, and Joseph on the right, who is 14.
This has been an ongoing problem, but it's gotten worse as they've gotten busier with school and sports.
Joseph is considered by his family to be a very, very type A personality. He's kind of a perfectionist when he wants to be one and cares enough to be one, and he claims that he would clean his room and make his bed if he had time, but according to him, he has too much homework and too many sports practices every day to spend time cleaning his room. He likes to sleep in a made bed, according to him, but doesn't like to make it.
It makes it a lot nicer to sleep, and I'm kind of a little OCD, so I kind of have to have a made bed before I go to sleep. I sleep better that way.
Joseph tends to be more of a neatnik, but then he gets frustrated that his brother makes a mess, and so then he just gives up.
Well, I have a bigger section of the room, and I usually keep it clean, so I guess I could be considered the cleaner one.
John, on the other hand, is a much different personality type. He would be called laid back, or type B, or even sometimes called lazy. He doesn't really care what he does if it doesn't affect other people. And according to him, why would you make your bed if you're going to sleep in it again that night? John doesn't believe in pointless work.
So why would you make your bed to unmake your bed, then remake your bed to unmake it again?
Okay,
Because
you don't have to talk about that anymore.
It kind of makes it a little bit nicer to sleep
It's
when
a
you
waste
have...
of energy.
Wait,
talking.
Stop.
He's probably the messier one, but we'll both clean if you ask him to, but it's just kind of more gross in general.
I asked my mom what her goals were for this project.
I would like to see their room long-term stay more neat. It's like a pig pen. Clothes in the laundry hamper instead of on the floor piled. Beds made every day. They basically would just need to throw their comforter up, which would take them maybe 2 seconds. I'd like to see an improvement, long-term. I don't want the boys to go into their adulthood being such slobs. Maybe we can, see some positive change. Long-term is what I would hope for.
John and Joseph don't even know that I took this video of their room looking so despicably disgusting, but you can see we have a lot of progress to make. Hopefully by the end of this experiment, we'll at least be able to see some of the floor. I began by explaining the procedure of the experiment to the boys by having them watch the video that I created for the first part of the film you're watching right now. They at first were a little confused, but then they were ready to get started right away. The next day, we began the experiment. We gotta go see your room. Let's go. Whoa! This is a different space. How long did this take you?
5 minutes.
As promised, the boys received their reward, ice cream from Tasty Freeze. This is an example of positive reinforcement or adding something to increase a behavior. On day 2, the results were a little different.
Huh, what's going on in here? Did you just make your bed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? What did you witness down here, Leah? What happened?
They didn't actually have their clothes on the floor.
So then why was he running to get down here before I did?
Because
I didn't know if I had clothes on the floor or not. Turns out I didn't. So it was okay.
Is that true?
Yeah, it was.
Was Joseph's bed made when you came down here?
No.
I think someone is lying.
Then gave the boys a lecture on how important it was to keep clothes from spilling out of your dresser and closet, and clothes under the bed is still clothes on the floor.
Sound good, Joseph? This is the new standard. And you people are doing dishes tonight.
Because I found some clothes on their floor, the boys had to do the dishes. This is a kind of positive punishment where we add a punishment of doing the dishes in order to decrease that behavior. Next, I had to explain the second part of the experiment to them. And then we began day 3. When day 3 came and I went to inspect their room, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was mostly clean, except for the pile of clothes falling out of the closet and the overflowing dresser, of course.
John, tell me about your bed making experience thus far.
I made my bed.
Yeah? How?
I pulled the sheets up over my pillow.
Yeah, how long did that take you?
30 seconds.
What about you? How's your bed making experience going?
Fine.
Yeah? Do you like having your bed made all day long? Yeah?
On day 3, we relieved the boys of trash duty because they made their beds. This was an example of negative reinforcement because we removed something to encourage that behavior. Day 4 came around finally, and there was not much change. On day 4, we restricted their TV and Netflix time to make them stop leaving their clothes on the floor. This is negative punishment because we are taking away something to decrease a behavior. Joseph left one sock on his floor, and thus he didn't get to watch any TV. He was less than thrilled about this.
That was our rule.
Get out of here.
And thus our experiment was complete. And while I don't know if the effects of this may be as long-lasting as my mom hoped, I think that the boys learned a lot about not only operant conditioning, but personal hygiene.